Welcome, everyone. It is the fall of 2021. We have been through all sorts of stuff through the last 18, 20 months. I hope that this time, what our hope is that Julie and I, we've been talking, is a time to pour into you, a time for you to be refreshed with some content and some learning, because you are constantly pouring yourself out to students and to teams and to family. So we hope that this next couple of hours is a time where you will feel refreshed and renewed and learn some things about yourself. A lot of the content that we used this worldwide. My name is Maria Guy, and I am a leadership development trainer, consultant, coach. For 20 years, I spent my career in the construction industry. And for the last 7 years, I have been working with teams all over the country, helping them understand themselves and helping them understand how they can grow and become better leaders. Now, some of the things that I often hear is like, wait a minute, Maria, I don't have employees. I don't have a staff. I'm not a leader. You are absolutely a leader, because at a minimum, you are leading yourself. So we need to leave that mentality that I do not lead. Yes, you do. You're leading yourself. And if you have children, if you're a parent, you are absolutely a leader. So we're going to give you some leadership skills, and it's going to be immediately applicable to where you are in your world. You will see some connections that are going to be helpful. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Did everyone print up their workbook? I say workbook, the worksheets that we sent out. Everyone's got those handy? All right, very good. Whether it's, you're doing PDF or just a hard copy, you're going to need that. I want you to keep in mind a couple of groups as we continue to work here. There's going to be two teams, if you will. One is going to be the team you work with that may or may not be present here today. You're going to keep that team in mind as you answer some of these questions. And then you're also going to go into breakout rooms, and you're going to have a team there. That team is going to help you process some of these things. So we're going to put approximately 4 people in each breakout room, so that you will have a chance to hear a diversity of opinion and thoughts and get a little bit of different perspective from different folks. So we're going to put you in groups as we progress through the morning. So the first place where I want to get started is with this idea, this tool called the Support Challenge Matrix. All right, so the Support Challenge Matrix is a lens to begin to view our own leadership tendencies. All right, so let's go over this tool. And some of you are familiar with it, but for as long as I've been teaching and learning this, I could look at this every single day and realize that there is still some areas that I need to work on. So let's go ahead and start working, taking a look at this particular tool. No one naturally shows up at their best all the time, everywhere they go, with every person that they do. We all have tendencies for one way or another. And those 2 ways that can really help us see our own leadership style is support and challenge. So challenge, we're still admitting folks in as they come in and join us. Look at this matrix here. You can see on one axis, we have high support and then low support, and then high challenge and low challenge. So high challenge is the ability to set high expectations and to go after, drive people towards goals, do things that we didn't think was possible. Challenge can be good. High challenge can be really good if we balance it out with high support. And high support looks like training, providing resources, being available, encouraging someone, being there when that person needs us. So all of those things can be forms of support. Now, when you are able to bring both high support and high challenge, you end up creating a culture of empowerment and opportunity. And we say that person liberates the people around them, because we're going to do hard things. We're going to seek after accomplishing our goals and objectives. But I'm here, I'm available. What can I do? How can I support you? Does that person need encouragement right now? That is when we're able to calibrate high support and high challenge for all of the people around us in the moment where they're at. That can be liberating for the person on the other side of us. Now, if we bring a lot of challenge, high expectations, but we fail to bring that support, we dominate. We dominate, and we can create, without even realizing, a culture of fear and manipulation. Fear because it feels like people are on the verge of being in trouble with us if they don't meet that expectation, but they don't feel the comfort of coming to us, asking questions, getting support. And manipulation, because sometimes when we have an agenda and we're driving that agenda, it can feel like we are perhaps, I need you right now, but as soon as I don't need you, then I'll stop talking to you. So a person can feel like they're a pawn on the chessboard of the person who just brings challenge, but never brings support. You demand a lot, but you're never available. You set high expectations, impossible expectations maybe, but you're not there to give me the training, the resources, the encouragement that I need to get it done. And so we can fall on that quadrant. Now, on the opposite side, we have the high support. We love high support. These are the people that are aware. Who's doing? How are people doing around here? Is everyone okay? Does everyone have what they need? How can I be supportive? I'm going to keep an open door. I'm here to listen. I'm here to facilitate your success. We love those people. Who doesn't, right? That we appreciate that kind of support. But unfortunately, if you only bring that and fail to bring challenge, to set clear expectations, to have hard conversations when someone really needs to hear something that they need to work on, we fall into this protect category. And when we protect, we create a culture of entitlement and mistrust. Here's what often happens is the person who is in that quadrant of protect, they know what needs to be done. They know the conversation that needs to be had. And they start thinking about, how am I going to go about this? And they start second guessing themselves. Maybe this is not as big a deal as I'm making it. What's it going to be like when I have that conversation? Am I going to come off as harsh and mean and difficult? Are they going to be really upset? You know what? I'm making too much of it. Just let sleeping dogs lie. And so we walk away and we don't do anything about it. We end up redoing their work. We end up covering for that person. So we don't have the conversation. We don't bring the challenge that we needed to, and we take it on ourselves. So what happens after a while is people feel entitled to put things on us because we never say anything. We never say, Uncle, I've had enough. That's not working for me. Until you keep doing that and you keep doing that. And then you explode one day because you cannot take it anymore. And I have had enough. You people are watching me struggle over here, and you could care less. And they see the volcano, Maria. They see, man, we thought you were Dr. Jekyll and you are really Mrs. Hyde. And so we don't know. I can't trust you anymore because I thought you were nice, Maria, until you weren't. And now I don't know where I stand with you. So there's a level of mistrust. Are you about to blow? Or are we really okay? So that's not a good environment to create with people. But we have tendencies. We have tendencies where, gosh, oh, that does sound like me, or that dominate person sounds like me. So those are never going to get us the kind of empowerment, opportunity, and culture and environment that we want. Because a culture where people are free to bring challenge and support is a healthy environment. People grow and thrive through that environment. Now, if we look down here at this bottom quadrant, low challenge, low support. So this is a culture of abdication. This is apathy, low expectations. I really don't care how you do this. Figure it out. I had to figure it out. No one helped me. You're on your own. I'm done. And people get in this quadrant when they're burnt out, when they've just had it, or I don't know what else to do. I've tried everything. I am exhausted. I am tired. No challenge, no support. I've abdicated. Now, you may not be surprised to hear that I could be all over this quadrant in one day. I could liberate my clients because I bring the right level of support and challenge. I could protect my children because I told them to get that done. They didn't get it done. You know what? I don't want to deal with it. I'll just do it myself. So I bring too much support with very little challenge because I don't want to deal with whatever conversation that is going to turn into. I can dominate myself. I bring all sorts of challenge. I put together my to-do list and there's 25 things on there. I get 23 done and I kick myself for the 2 that I didn't, right? It's like, are you kidding me? 23 things done and I still can't give myself credits? Like, yeah, well, I don't have time. Don't you know the list of things I've got before me? Or I can just abdicate where I'm exhausted. I'm done. I don't care what you people eat tonight. Cereal sounds fine to me. I am checking out. I'm done, right? So in a day, I can be all over the place if I'm being accidental. We talk about accidental and intentional. Intentional is me being very aware of who's on the other side of me. What do they need from me right now? Is it a little bit of support? Is it a little bit of challenge? How do I calibrate? But I need to be able to bring both of those. Now, I'll give you an example. When I was young, after I got through with school, I went to work for a general mechanical contractor in Albuquerque. So I went to work and I had a lot of schooling, but I didn't have a lot of experience, practical experience. So I made sure my boss knew that. Like, I've worked with project managers, but I've never actually managed a job by myself. I just want you to know that. I don't want you to have these expectations that I can't meet, right? And so he says, don't worry about it, Maria. So he puts me to work in the estimating department and I begin to work with the senior estimator and I'm learning. And one day he walks in with a set of plans. And he said, here's your first job, $300,000 project. It was actually a remodel at UNM. I remodeled Hakona Hall. It used to be residence, and then it turned into the police station. So that was my first job by myself. And so I remember thinking, what don't you understand? I've never done this by myself. I would rather ease into some of these things. Well, we didn't have the luxury of easing into anything. What he brought to me was high challenge. I felt like, you are asking a lot from me right now. Yes, I've worked on big projects when I was still in school in Colorado, but I'm not sure I can handle this. He said, Maria, you have the experience, you have enough knowledge, you can do this. And I'll tell you, I was both thrilled and terrified at the same time that I had been given this opportunity. And he said, I'm not going to let you fail. You're going to work with the estimator who put the price together. So he'll help you with the subcontracting and the buying of materials and all of that. I'm going to give you the best superintendent we have right now. And in construction, the right superintendent makes all the difference in the world about how successful a project is going to be. So he said, I'm going to give you the right superintendent. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me. So in my mind, that was high support and high challenge. He said, Maria, I'm not going to let you fail. And guess what? I did have enough experience and knowledge to navigate that project. You better believe I worked super hard to make sure that it was successful, and we finished the job, and it was, we made a profit on it. The customer was happy. And so he was a liberator for me. He liberated me. He empowered me, and he gave me opportunity, but he made sure that I was going to be okay, that I wasn't going to have a huge failure. So imagine working for this person for 17 years. So this was a consistent pattern where just when I got comfortable, he'd bring more challenge and he'd bring support. And then he could see something in me that I couldn't see in myself just yet. People thrive under that kind of leadership, under that kind of culture. So our goal is to be thinking about the people, whether they are children, they are colleagues, they are our staff, or ourselves. What does high support and high challenge look like for me, for my children, for my teammates, for my coworkers at this point? The people who learn how to create the kind of culture where we bring high support and high challenge, and that is encouraged, they will see teams that communicate better, teams that are going to thrive, teams that collaborate, teams that can have hard conversations and still move forward. But no one naturally shows up in this quadrant. Most of us are usually in this top quadrant or the bottom quadrant here. Very few people are here in this dark gray where things don't grow. That very few people. Sometimes we do get there, but usually we've given up. It almost takes effort. I had a client who said, "Maria, I'm so done with that employee. I don't even know what to do with that guy anymore. I've had it. I'm walking away." And I asked her, "Where are you on this quadrant?" And once she looked at it, she says, "Darn it, I've abdicated. I've given up on him." I said, "Yeah, what does it look like to bring high challenge and high support?" So where we landed on, we need you to meet these expectations. Tell us what you're going to need in order to meet these expectations, because that's what I need you to do for your job. If you can't meet those expectations, then maybe this isn't the right place for you. But I want to be a liberator to you and give you the opportunity to succeed and support you. And if it doesn't work out, then we both tried the best we could. But when we operate out in these other areas, do things still get done? Well, sure, they still get done. But what does it feel like to be around those people when they are not operating? I hope you have had a boss who operated in this quadrant. Most people have had bosses all over the map, right? So we're going to look at ourselves first, and then we're going to also think about our team. How does our team see us? How do I see myself? How am I treating myself? So questions or thoughts as we kind of dig into this tool a little bit. I gave you an example of how that is lived out. Any thoughts or questions there before we move into our exercise? Laura.
Hi, thank you. It seems to me that in the course of a week, people can be in the liberate or in the protect, or even in the dominate or abdicate. So
yes.
How you manage to really be consistent in your, and also it might depend on the person, right, that you are leading, or the team, right?
Absolutely. You bring up, this is a daily thing. This is a daily mindset that you think, okay, how do I show up today with the people around me? And because we can, sometimes some people, when I think about my staff, the employees that I used to manage, some were an absolute delight. I loved to be a liberator to them because they were so responsive. They were so collaborative. They were easy to work with. So it was easy to bring high challenge. I always asked my employees to do a lot, and I was always shocked that they would just live up to those expectations and work even harder and bring the support. What do I need? And then there's some people that are just so difficult to work with, to enjoy, my goodness, that can be a lot. It took a little bit more thinking. What do I need to do for this person? This mindset, I didn't have this tool when I had a staff, and I wish I had, because sometimes I would just be frustrated with that person because they weren't as responsive as this other person that I really enjoyed working with. But I think if I had had this tool, it would have forced me to think, okay, if I am going to live in this quadrant, I need to see this person for who they are, where they are right here in this situation, and calibrate it differently than I calibrated for someone else. We have a definition for the person who lives consistently in this quadrant, and that is, we call them a liberator. And liberators fight for the highest possible good in the lives of those they lead. So liberators fight for the highest possible good in the lives of those they lead. That means if I really care about you and I'm fighting for your good, I'm going to bring you that challenge. We're going to have that conversation. But why are we having it? Because I care about you. I want you to grow and I want you to thrive. So I need to tell you what's happening, what's going on. And it can be as simple as I had to have this conversation with a client, with not a client, with a one of my employees. I said, John, you tend to talk a lot during meetings and you don't let other people give an opinion. And if the opinion contradicts what you're saying, you tend to elevate the volume of your voice till you drown them out and you don't let anyone talk. And this was something that John would do, and it would drive me nuts. And at first, I thought, oh, well, who am I to say, man? But, that's just the way it is. And then I realized, no, this is undermining John. I care about John too much to let him continue to do this. It was a hard conversation to have, but we had a good relationship. And I said, I don't know if you know you do this, but you drown people out. You just raise your volume till you're the loudest guy in the room, and then people just give up. They've stopped contributing. And he says, are you really? I do that? Yeah, I said, you sure do, John. I'm going to help you. If I see you doing that again, there's going to be a signal. We're going to have a conversation afterwards or something, but I don't want this to be something that affects you negatively. I care about you too much. And he was appreciative that I had that conversation with him. It wasn't easy to have, but if I'm fighting for the highest possible good in the lives of those I lead, then I have to push through the discomfort. Even when and I happen to, really like John, and he was a great worker. Sometimes there's going to be people that we may not have the same affection for. You have to ask yourself, where's my relationship with this person before I can have that challenging conversation? If you are managing people, a great exercise, which I will challenge you to do, is to share this tool with them and say, how do you see me? How do you see me right now? Am I down here? Am I over here? Am I over here? And the managers who have done this with their staff have learned a lot about, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that's how I was perceived. I had one manager that everyone had him down here in the dominate quadrant. They all saw him as high challenge, no support. And so he said, boy, that was eye-opening, and that's not how I want to run this department. So what did he do? He set time and he asked each person, what does support look like for you? Obviously, I know how to challenge. Everyone said I was good at that part, but what does support look like for you? And he was shocked that his 5 employees gave him 5 different answers. One person said, I just wish you would come in and say good morning. That you would just come in and acknowledge. Instead, you just walk by, you don't even say hi. Really? That's what support looks like for you? Yes, because that person felt not seen. And so another person said, I want time with you. I would really appreciate having one-on-one time to check in. How am I doing? I want feedback. I want to know if I could improve on anything. And so he began the journey of understanding what does support look like for each of his employees. And over time, he moved from down here to up here. He was a good guy to work for. People appreciated how diligent he was, but it was always work, and never relationship, never making time to hear. So it was small changes. He said no one asked me to do anything that was like outrageous or out of the question, but I just didn't realize that they needed that support from me. And I was glad that I was able to learn what it was I could do to become the leader that they needed me to be for them. So this is how some people have used that this tool. So Laura, I love your question because we can be all over the place. So it's a mindset that we adopt. How can I fight for the highest possible good in my children's lives, in my spouse's lives, in my friends' lives, in significant others in my team? Well, then that looks like, how can I calibrate high support and high challenge? All right, very good. Well, let's take a look at the the first worksheet, the support challenge for communication. And it gives you a little bit of a definition there of what challenge can look like and what support can look like. So we talked about this tool. The exercise here is, where do you think your teammates view you in terms of support and challenge? Now, these teammates that I want you to think about is the people that you're working with. Okay, so this is the people that you're working with, not the team that you're going to be in the breakout room. So think about the group that you're working with right now. How do you think they see you? Do they see you as someone who brings, that liberation, high support, high challenge? That's great. If you think they see you more over here in the protect or dominate or abdicate. And then the second question is, what do you tend to do towards yourself? Okay. And so I want you to plot on the little, this is on page 2. I want you to put a dot where you think your teammates, and write teammates next to it. And then I want you to plot what you tend to do towards yourself. Okay, so sometimes people might ask, well, wait a minute, what does that mean? When I first did this exercise, because I wasn't aware, I realized that my dot was down here in the dominate. I'm a high challenge person to myself, and I don't always bring the support that I need. I don't take time to rest. I don't take time to exercise. I skip a meal. I'm not because I've got things to do. And I realize I am not bringing the support that I need to do everything that I need to. So I had to reflect and say, I need a little bit of self-care here if I'm going to be there for all the people that rely on me. So I had to realize, oh my goodness, I'm down here in this quadrant, and I really need to think about, what does it look like for me to bring high support and high challenge to myself? Or you might find yourself over here in the protect, where you're like, you know what, I probably could do a few more things, but I just haven't challenged myself to do that thing I wanted to do, to take care of things. Or I kind of make excuses for myself. You're not so bad compared to that person. Well, you're doing better. So I tend to protect myself. I'm bringing a lot of support. I really need to bring some challenge to myself. Or maybe you're down here. You know what? I am not either bringing challenge or support to myself right now. There's things that I need to get done, and I procrastinate. I'm not getting it done, and I'm not taking care of myself, and I'm finding myself up down here. Or you might find yourself in a good place where I have a lot of important, good things on my plate, and I am taking the time that I need to make sure that I take a breather, that I take care of myself in order to be available for the people around me. So that second question is really, where are you towards yourself? What's your tendency towards yourself? Okay, so now I'm going to put you in the breakout rooms. What I want you to do is have a conversation and discuss where did you plot yourself on the matrix and why? That's question number 1 in the discuss with your team. Question number 2 is, what do you need to do to move into that liberate quadrant? All right. Where did you plot yourself, and what do you need to move? You're not going to be able to do number 3 because normally you would be with your team at work. But one of the reasons I chose these exercises is because you can do them with your team. These tools are simple enough that you can have a conversation with your team if you choose to do that, if you choose to do question number 3. And then answer 4, what did you learn from this exercise? So I want you to focus on 1, 2, and 4. Okay, questions 1, 2, and 4. So as I send you to your breakout rooms, we're all going to have a conversation there. I want to give you at least, let's see, we have 20 people. So I'm going to create 5 rooms. I'm going to give you at least about 8 minutes or so. And then we are going to, I'll give you a warning, and then we'll come back. So take about 2 minutes a piece to answer these questions, to have a conversation. If you guys are having a great conversation and you can't get past question number one, that's okay. Let's make time to really unpack what you heard about this tool. How does it apply to you? And then we'll come back in about 8 minutes. I'm going to open up all the rooms. Everyone, you will have 4 people in these rooms, and I will see you back here in a little. Very good. All right. So I would love to hear from 1 or 2 people. What are the highlights in your breakout room with your team? You can just go ahead and
speak. This is Shelley. One thing we did discover that none of us discovered or wanted to see ourselves in the abdicate quadrant, which I thought spoke volumes to our current leadership roles and our teams that we're on, and both on the personal side and our current team. So I think that was something. I don't know what the others discovered. I'll be curious to see what your feedback was on that, but I just wanted to highlight that didn't come up at all, that any of us would find ourselves in that quadrant.
Very good. Very good. I love hearing that, right? Because this is a place that's a lot has happened to get you to that place. And we hope that no one is finding themselves there or seeing that.
For the most part, in our team, we were in the personal side, we were all in the dominate, that we needed to move toward the liberate, like support ourselves more. And I think we were mostly between protect and liberate in terms of team. Although one of our members mentioned that with one particular student, it was reaching the point of abdicate. So yeah, I think, yeah, kind of mostly in the dominate. Yeah, we were.
I'll tell you, this is not uncommon. I see this quite often where sometimes it takes someone else saying, it's okay to take a break for us to give ourselves permission to take a break, to pause, and it's okay. And it's interesting. There's so many. What makes us is a complex combination, of nature, nurture, and choice. But I think nurture has a huge influence. How you grew up, the people around you, the environment where you've worked. When I reflected on this, it's like, why is it so hard for me to stop and take a break? My mom, I am one of 6 kids, number 5 of 6. She had 6 children in 8 years that were all right next to each other. I never saw my mom sit down and have a warm meal ever. The woman was always moving. So I thought that's what you're supposed to do. You're always just supposed to keep going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And so that was a big influence. And so to sit down and take a break felt self-indulgent and selfish and lazy and wrong, or like I'm supposed to be productive all the time. You know what? I'm more productive when my batteries are charged. And so recharge has become, in the last few years, something that I have really begun to incorporate, because I am a much more pleasant person to be around when I am taking care of myself. I'm more productive. My mind is clearer when I take that time. And so I'm learning to move from that quadrant up into that liberate myself, and figuring out, what does it look like for me to bring support to myself? Yes, Krista, even going to the bathroom seems like I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. It's like, well, you better make time for that, right? That's going to be really important. So yes, so it's telling ourselves, I'm better. I show up better, clear-minded, stronger, more compassionate, more able to bring support when I am rested, when I am at my best. It's a hard balance. I tell people it's never go take a weekend at the spa, 3 days. Sometimes it's 20 minutes by myself, drive home the long way, just so I can get 10 more minutes of peace and quiet before I, deal with whatever it is that's waiting for me, or the next stop, or whatever it is, just taking some time. Yeah, I mean, Laura, you're exactly. I mean, these are the things that we don't make time for the most basic things, and we need to. We need to if we want to show up at our best. All right. So again, this is a exercise that you can do with your team back when you get back to work with your team. If you choose to do that, that might be an opportunity to have a great conversation with the people around you. All right, so you can.
May I ask you something? Sorry.
Yes.
Really quick. So would you do it? Would I do it as a team or with the individual member of the team?
I would recommend that each person take a look. There is a tool. If you open up the document as a PDF and you click that Learn This tool, it should lead you to a link where there's a video of someone teaching this tool. And so you'll see.
It didn't work for me. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but it brought me to nothing.
Okay, and some people did see it. I saw some heads nodding that some people were able to get the live link. If you get if you go to giant.tv/Maria Guy, you get your account, you get your free account. That gives you access that when you click on that, it should open up the video. So maybe that's the step to take before. What you can do is that you could play the video, so you don't have to teach the tool. You can have someone teach the tool. And Steve Cockram, one of the founders of Giant, will teach the tool, and then you can walk through the team exercise as a group. So that's what I would recommend is play the video, everyone watches it together, and then you walk your way through the rest of the exercise, just following the steps.
Maria?
Yes.
Would you mind repeating which video that is?
Let me
Is it the one that says the 5 voices?
Let me go to the place where I am. Okay.
None of us are natural liberators.
Yes, that's the video. Whoever played it, it started playing. That's it. That's the video. So if you look here at the support challenge for communication, if you click this little blue button, there should be a hyperlink there. And that's the tool that will start playing Steve talking about that none of us are naturally liberators. So you can.
So mine pulls up the whole website and not just one video.
Me too.
Ah, okay.
And I'd really love to know which video.
Then let me take you to.
I'm just wondering if I signed up incorrectly or something.
No, I'm sure that you, if you are
Okay,
getting.
I think I found it, and it's called Introduction, and it has mountains that have tips that are orange.
I'm going to show you where I will.
Mine is the guy.
No, it's just a guy.
Okay, so if you go to Ascend, see on the top right left-hand corner, Ascend is the free version of our platform. So if you go to this toolkit, one of the popular series toolkit, this is a video of every one of our tools, all 64 of them. Today we're covering 2 or 3. There's so much there. So if you scroll to find the support challenge matrix, which is this one right here, support challenge matrix, you'll see it's a 4-minute video, and that's Steve teaching the support challenge.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I want to give you that so that you know where to find all of those tools at once. All the tools that we're going to be covering, there's a video that'll teach them. And we like to keep those videos under 5 minutes so that people can watch them together, or if they just have 10 minutes to learn more tools, the toolkit is the place to go. All right. Great questions. All right. So you'll see here in the document, in the team exercise on page 2, there's this bonus. This is the one I was talking about. Go to the most important people in life, choose at least one from family or friends and one from work, and ask them to plot you. Compare what you thought with what they gave you. Reflect on the similarities and differences. So this is, if you're curious and you're brave and you want to have a conversation with someone and say, okay, I see myself here. Where do you see me? We're all on a journey of self-awareness. No one ever graduates from the school of self-awareness. We're always learning more about ourselves. And so choose people that know you, love you, that you trust to have this conversation with, and you will be able to learn a little bit more. And I don't think I was showing what I meant to show. I was showing the bonus here. This is on page 2 of your sheet. Go to the most important people in your life, have that conversation, and have them plot you. After they hear the video, they can put you, and then you can have a conversation about what that means for you and what you need to work on. All right, I want to move on. I think we're going to be able to get through this next one. Great conversation. And I think I provided more than we could cover, but that's all right. We'll have more time later on in the semester to continue to work on some of these. So the next one I want to go over is the 5 voices. Now, this is an area that we have worked on previously, but we wanted to do a bit of a refresher. And for those that are joining us for the first time, I hope you had the opportunity to take the 5 voices assessment. So if you took the assessment, you learned a little bit about your voice and wiring. And so what we're going to do here is that I want you to answer this first question. When you're at your best, what's the most important strength you bring to your team? Answer that in the chat. Maybe it's your organization. I'm a very organized person. I tend to organize the team. Maybe it's the relational part of you. I'm kind of the glue that keeps the team together. Vision. I love it, Melissa. I bring vision to the team. Maybe strategy is your help. Creative thinking, innovation, enthusiasm. I love it, Nancy. We need people who are just lighten up the room. Creativity, strategic vision, building up of others. We need all of these. All of these are awesome. What else? Creativity. Love it, Laura. What else are we bringing? What's strength that you bring to your team? Understanding of differences. Energy. Awesome. These are great. We all bring something to the team. Vision. Very good. We all bring something to the team, and the voices help us understand how we're processing information, how we make decisions. All of those things can be really important to understand about ourselves, but also understand about the people around us. So we're going to do a quick refresher of the 5 voices. And for those of you who have been through the whole course where we did the assessment and asked a lot of questions, I hope that you'll be able to just listen here and be reminded of a few things. So the nurture voice is a quieter voice. And when we say quieter, it means that they don't always necessarily state their opinion for everyone to hear. They are a little bit more cautious. We have to pull from them. What are you really thinking? What's going on? But they represent the greatest percentage of the population. 43% of the population speaks this nurture voice. They are the champions of people, of relational harmony and values, strong core personal values. They want to make sure that people are taken care of, that they can live with themselves, with the decisions that they're making and the things that are going on inside their organization. Natural encouragers, natural team players, great people to have, very conscientious, get things done for the team. What you need to watch out for with the nurture is that they can have a fear of conflict, and they often won't speak out. Beware of silence. When the nurture is quiet, it doesn't mean the nurturer doesn't have something to say. They either are holding back because I'm not sure they're interested in my opinion. I don't know if I want to say something in front of this group. That's why they're quiet, because, or they just don't want to contradict someone else, even though they may think that person is absolutely wrong. They don't want to stir the pot. They don't want to be seen as a troublemaker. They want to make the peace. So sometimes they stay quiet, even though the team would benefit tremendously from knowing what they are thinking. So how do you empower the nurturer? You let them speak first. When it's time to make a decision, especially if it's impacting a lot of people, pull from your nurturers. What do you guys think? How is this going to fail? What are we missing? What did we not see as we go forward on this decision, this initiative, this project? Tell us what you're thinking. Let them speak first, because if you let them speak first, they haven't contradicted anyone yet. If they're the first one out there, right? If you ask them later on, they're going to say, oh, I'm just going to say the opposite of what Nancy just said. And what if I hurt Nancy's feelings and it gets weird between us? And now we're supposed to have lunch on Friday and it's going to be awkward. And they'll talk themselves out of saying anything. So if you let them go first, they're able to put their opinion out there. But I always say the nurturer has the option to pass, because sometimes they're like, I'm not quite ready. I'm not quite ready to contribute, but thank you for asking me first. But when we open the door, we're inviting, we're pulling from them. Affirm their competence and the genuine value of their contribution. There's no such thing as an arrogant nurturer. Nurturers don't brag about themselves. They don't remind you of, how amazing they are. Be grateful that they're on your team. Just say, thank you so much. You do an amazing job, because they're the first ones who will be hard pressed to accept a compliment. You can say, nurture, you guys did an amazing job. Your team just really delivered. I thank you so much. Oh no, it was a team effort. It wasn't me. It's these amazing people. It's just hard for them to accept a compliment, right? But affirm their competence. They need to hear it. They need to hear it and feel that confirmation, but they will never seek it. They won't ask for it. So remember, it's that quieter voice. They're going to be in the background figuring out, how do I help? How do I take care of the people involved? All right, so that's our nurturer voice. The creative voice, very future oriented. Their little symbol there is, they look out into the future. Also a quiet voice. They keep a lot of things internal, much smaller percentage, 9% of the population. Champions of future ideas, of innovation and organizational integrity. Lots of things going on. Not only are they future oriented and they love innovation and change, but they're also thinking about, wait a minute, what are we doing for everyone else? They're thinking about people. People are always in the back of their mind. Are we being true to who we say we were going to be, the things that we are going to do? Are we living up to our values? What do you need to watch out for with the creative? The creatives can struggle to communicate effectively. Sometimes the creative, they've got so many amazing things going on in their mind. By the time you ask them, what do you think? It comes out as, it feels disjointed. It feels way out there. It takes a while for people to get what the creative is talking about. So often the creative will find themselves, people don't get what I'm trying to say. I have a hard time getting my ideas out. They feel messy in the beginning. So help the creative by asking clarifying questions. They can also have idealist, perfectionist tendencies. They keep working at it. But I saw it in my head in a certain way. It's just not ready yet. They keep pushing the envelope. They want it to be just perfect. And sometimes you just have to say, that's it, call it. It's not going to get any better, or it's going to be incrementally better, not substantially better. But they have this perfectionist tendency that drives them. How do you empower them? Don't judge them by what they say first. Remember, sometimes it comes out a little messy. Instead, help them communicate their idea. Say, now let me see if I heard you right. I think I heard you say XYZ. And then they can say, yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes people will interpret that for them, say, are you saying this? Yes, that's what I was trying to say. I just couldn't find a way to say it to where you understood, which can be really frustrating for the creative to not to be understood. But if you understand this about the creative, you can help them put their thoughts together. All right, and let them know it's okay to be wrong sometimes. Sometimes the creative, they are idea factories. I mean, and they come up with all sorts of ideas. Well, not all of them are going to be gold and amazing. But if you remind them and hit them over the head with, well, is this like the thing you told us last quarter, or last semester, and you remind them and make them feel, you're squashing the best part of the creative, which is their ability to think outside the box. Unlike any of the other voices. I mean, when I get stuck, I call it creative, and they'll give me 4 ideas, and I'm like, okay, I'm unstuck. Thank you. Bye. And that's all I needed. I just got myself into a rut here, and they can think of 5 different ways I could have approached that issue, which escaped me. So they're wonderful that way. All right, our guardians, a little bit louder voice, because usually the guardian is asking questions and trying to gather data, facts, information. Very, very strong need for all of that. They make up 30% of the population. So chances are, between the guardian and the nurturer, you are living with, doing life with, or working with a guardian or a nurturer. They're just, 3/4 of the population you find have that first voice. They are the champions of due diligence, of resources, and efficient systems and processes. So it's all about the research, the data, the facts, the information, stewards of whatever it is that you entrust them. They will make the best use of whatever it is that you give to them. They want to eliminate waste. They want to make things as lean as possible. That's just the way their mind thinks. What do you watch out for with the guardians? They can be risk averse. If they haven't seen it work before, they're going to be really reluctant to try something new just because, we want to change things up. So that can come off as negative. And all of their questions can come off as excessive critique. It can feel like you hate everything. You never want to try anything new. Again, with the questions. Mr. Guardian, Mrs. Guardian. And so that can come off because they're trying to gather, wait, why are we doing this? I need to understand, is this worth the risk? Is this going to put things in jeopardy? Who did the research? What's the background on this? Why are we moving in this direction? That's what's constantly going through the guardian mind. How do you empower the guardian? You welcome their challenging critique. No one can spot the holes in an idea better than a guardian. So leverage that ability that they have and say, help us mitigate what might go wrong here. Help us figure out where it's going to get derailed so we can get ahead of that. So welcome their challenging critique and their commitment to due diligence. They will keep you from wasting time, wasting resources, wasting money. All right, that's the guardian. Connectors a little bit louder voice. You tend to hear them because they are very passionate, enthusiastic communicators. It's hard not to like the connectors because they want to bring fun into whatever it is that they're doing. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's think about the people. They make up 11% of the population. They're all about relational networks and internal collaboration and effective communication. Let's work together. Let's get some team members together in a room, and let's just throw some ideas out. They're all about collaboration. What you need to watch out for with our connector is that they can interpret challenge of their ideas as personal. So the connector lives a very integrated life. Their work and who they are one and the same. And so when you critique their work, it feels like you're criticizing them personally. Why do you hate me? Why are you so mean? I mean, I try and bring ideas. I try and bring collaboration, and your critique is just hurting my feelings. And the thing is, we're critiquing the idea, we're not critiquing the connector, but to the connector, it's hard for them to separate those two. It can feel very personal. How do you empower them? You give them time to share their ideas and passions. Remember, they're very passionate communicators. They get excited. Let them bring their passion. Let them bring that excitement. Appreciate them before you critique them. Not every idea is going to be great, but let them deliver it. When you squash that enthusiasm from a connector, you really are squashing the thing that they bring best, which is this zest and zeal and excitement to the table. So let them share their ideas with their enthusiasm. And then our pioneers. Our pioneers is the strongest voice. The reason there's a little caution there is because our pioneers are incredible in so many ways. They have the greatest capacity to do tremendous good, but they also have the greatest capacity to cause damage because they run over people in pursuit of an amazing task or mission, which we love, we need. They bring so much to the table. They make up 7% of the population. They're all about strategic vision and results and problem solving. They're amazing at it. Their mind constantly is working to solve whatever problem. And they don't mind if they've never seen it before. In fact, they kind of welcome that. They love to win. They love the challenge of something that is intellectually hard because they want to engage in that. What you need to watch out for is that they can lack sensitivity. Sometimes when they get locked into their mission, they're not thinking about, how are you doing? Are you feeling okay? They're thinking, we got work to do. We need to get this done. So that can feel insensitive to the people around them. And they can be unwilling to listen, especially when they are completely sure what the strategy should be and how they're going to accomplish that. And so that can be perceived as arrogant. Do they mean to show up that way? Of course not. I don't think anyone means to show up, but we need to be aware that if we have that in our first or second voice, it's a powerful, powerful thing that drives us. And so we need to be aware, wait a minute, how are people doing? I need to be aware of myself. How do you empower the pioneer? Don't worry, they empower themselves. They just come ready to charge whatever challenge you put in front of them, affirm their competence. They get us to do things that we didn't think were possible. They have strategies and dreams that really put together that plan for the team to get things done. We need the pioneer on our team. We need that voice. So all of these 5 voices, we need all of them. There's not a single one that is better than the other, that is going to do a better job of leading. Every single voice can lead, but you need to lead genuinely in your own voice. You can't try and be someone that you are not, because that is exhausting and it's not genuine. And eventually you just give up and it can be very frustrating. But you need to learn to lead in your own voice. All right, so what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you hover over your picture, you'll see 3 little dots there. I want you to rename yourself. I want you to put your first name and then your first and second voices. So I am a guardian nurture. It's up there in my voice. So if you took the assessment and it gave you your voice order, you should have gotten, I'm a guardian nurture, pioneer, connector, creative. So just give me the first 2, and you can just put a G and an N, or, pioneer, connector, P/CO, whatever it is. Go ahead and put it up there so that we can kind of see. And if you can't, just do your first name so that we can see the other names, because sometimes it cuts off if there's too many words, and we can kind of see we've got connector, we've got pioneers, we've got nurturers, creative pioneer. Love it. We have a great representation of the different voices. Okay, excellent. Now, I want you to take a look. Let me swap over here to if we look at our 5 voices worksheet here, I wonder as if when you answered that question in the chat, some of the words that you used describe your first voice. Now, your voice is really made up of all 5. You have a little bit of all 5 in you, but the first 2 are usually the ones that are the strongest in you. As I described that, I hope that gave you a little bit more color on that voice. You took the assessment, but the description gives us a little bit more idea of what that voice represents. But it's really that combination of those 5 voices that make you uniquely you. And so what happens is that we're all at different levels because we've all had different experiences. We've been alive longer. Sometimes, 20-year-old you is different than, 50-year-old you, 35-year-old you. But these have been traits that are probably consistent throughout your whole life. But of course, maturity and experience have a big influence on how we show up every single day. So again, you can use there's a quick, certainly not as long as I took, but there's a quick video where Steve Cockram again teaches the 5 voices. Now, what I want you to do in this exercise here is that I want you to put the numbers on the second page. I want you to put voice number 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on what order yours came in, okay? Go ahead and put those. I'm a guardian nurture, so a 1 would go in the guardian and a 2 would go in the nurture, so on and so forth.
Maria, where do we find the order that our test was in? I really had problems with the website, I guess.
So you would have received, as soon as you took it, it would have given you the results on a website page.
I got the 2, I didn't get the others.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, me too. Only 2.
You're right. I'm thinking that there is a place. Okay, let me go back to the site. Okay, so if you go to Ascend, if you've taken the assessment, okay, I have multiple accounts on different things depending. Let me go to the one that will have my voice order. Okay, so if you open up your site and you go up to Ascend, usually this is the page that opens up. Go to this page. Let me see. No, that's not the page I want you to go to. It is. There it is. Okay, let me go back. The voice pair insights. This button right here, next to whatever your voice is going to give you your voice order, all 5. And there's some great information here where it'll go into your strengths, your challenges, suggested growth opportunities, what happens under stress, under extreme stress. There's just a lot of great information here that you can go further. What I would also recommend, once you look at those insights, is that you can watch an overview. This is the Guardian Nurture, and you will see there are 16 videos that we have put together. Understanding who you really are, unlocking the full potential of your voice. And what's unique about these is that there is someone talking about your voice order that has the similar voice order as you. So there's 16 possible combinations. So we've had 16 people talk about each of these. So it's people who share your wiring. And so it can be really helpful to hear someone else talk about, this is how the Guardian Nurture, or this is how the Connector Creative sees things. So these are all unique. And again, very short videos. There's a series of 16 of them. And I highly recommend those. Those are going to be really helpful to learn more about your voice. And the link that you guys were provided, the giant.tv/Maria Guy, you can share that with your entire team and they can get a free account as well. The paid version of that account allows you to consolidate everyone in a team and do a lot more work through that. But that's the paid version. But for our purposes, you can get a lot of information from the Ascend free account. Okay. That help? All right.
Maria.
Yes.
No, I thought it was just so interesting that, you know, you have the paper, this paper version. And so I put myself, I thought, and then I did the assessment and I came out as Pioneer Guardian. And then I went to see just now as you were talking, and then I saw that actually the assessment gave me the voice in the same way in which I saw myself I having these voices.
Okay, so it was
Like,
exactly
oh my
the same.
gosh.
Okay,
It was like,
good.
wow.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So we have the online assessment, and then we have kind of the live assessment that you can go through, and hopefully you see the similarity. You'll see those show up, you know, in the same order. And what's great, if let's say, is it Patria? Patria, if you had taken the assessment and you said, oh, it came out as Pioneer Guardian, and you said, well, I'm not sure if that's quite me. But you notice there's also a Pioneer Creative. And then you watch the Pioneer Creative. Oh, that felt more like me. And so then you can always go back to your site, back to your account on the platform. And let's say, for example, you wanted to switch that because you think, oh, I think I'm not quite that voice, you can edit your voice order. Okay. So if you find that kind of sounded like me, but I feel more like a Pioneer Creative than a Pioneer Guardian, you can edit it. You can always retake. As I mentioned, there are 16 possible combinations. And so these are those 16. So if you want to change, so if you switch, then you're going to get different insights, you're going to get different videos, you're going to get different, these are curated to be specific for that. But I'm glad yours turned out the way it turned out. All right. Okay, so I want to give us time to walk through this exercise. So as you put these in order, that was the exercise. And now I want us to spend a little bit of time because we've ranked them, because we took the assessment, is share the voice. Let's see, go around the team, have each person answer the questions or do what is asked below. So this is what you're going to do in your breakout rooms as I send you into the breakout rooms. Share the voice they identified with most, the one you ranked number one, and why, and consider the voices on the team and answer the question, what insights do you have seeing the voices on your team? Does anything surprise you? This is a great question if you're doing this with the team that you're working with. So I want you to do 1 and 3 in your breakout sessions, 1 and 3. Read the rules of engagement and the liberation statements for your voice. See in the work on page 2 of that worksheet. What else could the team do to bring out the best in you each day and leverage the strengths of your voice to the fullest? What I like to do, especially with that liberation statement, I like to tell people, customize that for yourself. What would you add? What would you take away? And then who would you share that liberation statement? It's like giving someone the decoder ring to you, right? I want you to understand me a little bit more. I'm going to share this liberation statement. So that's the conversation I want you to have. I want you to talk about question number 1 and question number 3 in your breakout rooms. I'm going to open up the rooms here. I'm going to give you, was that too much time before or too little time? Was it just right before?
Just enough.
Just enough. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to open up the rooms and give everyone 2 minutes apiece. I would love to hear from 1 or 2 groups about your conversation. Who can share?
Well, I'll share one thing. I found that this exercise was extremely eye-opening and very, very helpful. I think one of the things we talked about is acceptance of ourselves for who we are. And I think that this it highlights who you are, the good, the bad, the everything. And I think if you have a good understanding of all your strengths and weaknesses and blind spots, I love the kryptonite idea. It really helps. And one of the things that I have found throughout this whole last 20 months is I would say that my pioneer came out more because I just wanted things to happen. And that is a very loud voice.
Yeah.
And I have in all my years of being a worker, I have learned to quiet that voice. But during the pandemic, it wasn't quiet. And now I need to pull back and be quiet again, just a little bit to tone it down. So it was very good to go, yeah, that's me, Beth, get back on track.
Very good. It's the this concept, this tool, some of you may remember, know yourself to lead yourself.
Yeah.
And when you know yourself, you know, okay, my voice can be very strong. The pioneer can be very strong, but that connector makes you a very enthusiastic and powerful communicator as well at bringing people along. So I need to use that in a way that's going to move things forward in a healthy way. But if I'm stressed and I'm unhealthy, that can show up in a way that is strong and overwhelming. And so it's knowing yourself to lead yourself, right? But we're not wrong or bad. We just are who we are. And the more we understand that, more we can move forward in a very intentional way instead of accidentally running over people and things and you know, and saying, well, I don't know what's wrong with those people. You know, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I showed up in a way that I didn't want to. I didn't mean to show up that way. So it's balance. I love it. Thank you, Beth, for sharing that. It's these mirrors, right? These mirrors, we're seeing things about ourselves and you're like, oh my goodness, that is so right. Or sometimes it's a lens to view what the situation, and it gives us a little bit more objective view instead of a subjective or emotional or a different kind of view that is not going to really give us that pause that we need to really think about what's going on here and are there any adjustments that I need to make for the sake of my team in order for me to be someone who liberates my team and my family and my friends. Awesome. Love it. Love it. I think we have enough time to go over this one tool because I think this is an important tool, especially in the situation that we have been in the last 20 months, the Peace Index. I want you to just write down on your note, if you could magically improve one area of your life right now, what would it be? You don't have to share this, just make a note there. I'm not going to ask you to put it in the chat. If you could wave a magic wand. All right, I'm going to talk about the Peace Index. And after we're done, you can compare and see what your magic wand answer, if this helps at all. The Peace Index, when we're at peace with ourselves, it's usually a combination of a lot of different things. We've picked 5 things that are usually very, very important in everyone's life. And if you could assign a percentage from 0 to 100, where am I right now in these 5 areas? Because they have a huge impact on how we show up and how we feel day to day. So the first one is purpose. Am I doing what I thought I would be doing at this point in my life? Am I in my sweet spot? Am I fulfilled? Where am I in my purpose? Place is where I live, where I sit in the office, the city that I live in, the neighborhood, everything that has to do with your physical location. How do I feel about that right now? Provision is everything from your paycheck, your ability to cover your costs, take care of your families, take care of yourself. How is that going? If that's in a bad place, that can affect other areas. Personal health is the 4th one. This could be mental and physical and psychological. Where am I right now in my health? If that is a low percentage, it can be affecting the way I feel, what we say our peace index. And then the people. This is everyone around us. the people that we're working with, the people that we're living with, doing life with. Are things good in those relationships? Are things hard? And you could have 100 people in your circle. You only need one that's causing a lot of trouble to make it feel like, oh, things are really hard right now. This person is making my life very, very difficult. So what I want you to do is give a percentage to each one. But let me just tell you a quick story about myself. I think at one point in my career, things were going well. My purpose was great. Place, I love Albuquerque. I was 10-minute commute to my office. Paycheck was doing well. We were covering all our expenses. There was nothing there that was, bad. As far as health, staying healthy, I liked the people that I worked with. Maybe there was a couple that drove me nuts, but I didn't have to interact with them too much, and things were going right. I would have said, if I averaged those, I probably was at an 85. It was great. And then I reached a point where I was doing a job that I could do, but it wasn't my sweet spot, and I didn't realize I had taken on a job that it was still within the same organization. It was just, I hated doing that. And I got to the point where I would think, maybe it's time for me to move on. Maybe I don't know if I can do this for another 20 years. I'm 42 years old and I don't know. And so I'm having all of these thoughts, right? And my purpose plummeted down to a 30%, somewhere down there in the, bottom, but it made everything else. And all of a sudden, my office was driving me nuts, and I don't get paid enough to put up with this nonsense. And, just everything else, it seemed to be bothering me. The people all of a sudden were bugging me. You see, one of them was off, but all of them felt like my whole peace index had dropped. And so I had to really reassess and say, what am I going to do with myself in the next few years? What am I going to do? So that's really what ended up prompting my shift. Is I need time to reflect and get away. I love my industry. I love this company. I just can't keep doing the same job. So I had to step out for a year, work for a nonprofit to figure out what I was going to do when I was going to grow up. And so here I ended up switching careers, but it was really the best thing that I could have done for me at that point. I was able to work back with the industry, but my purpose now is just 90, 95, because I get to do something that I'm incredibly passionate in an industry that I get to work with. I get to work with you guys and, get to talk to you. So all of a sudden my purpose has gone up. So this is an exercise to help us figure out, where am I right now? And sometimes these percentages can drop for no fault of your own. Maybe your mom is really sick and you have to take care of her. Well, your people might be low, but it's not because you don't love your mom. You're just in a tough stage right now where you're a caregiver. Well, that's understandable. Maybe right now, the place you're in between buying and selling a house, and it's stressful and it's causing more than I could think about. So place is low right now. Sometimes it's by no fault, but it's just something that we are having to deal with. So I think of the peace index as like taking your temperature, or your pulse. Every quarter, take your pulse. How am I doing right now? How's everything in my world going right now? Where is my peace index? So on page 2 here, I want you to do the index rating. So I want you to rate either 1 to 100, 1 to 10. What is your peace index right now? What number would you give purpose? Would you give it a 9? Would you give it an 8? I used 100%, but we can use 1 through 10 here. Place, everything about Albuquerque, New Mexico, your office, your home. How are you with this place? What would you rate that? Provision, personal health, and people. Give all of those a number. And as you work on that, I also want you to take a look at this leading indicator. There's usually one that is more important to you than the rest of them. It just has more meaning. For some people, it's purpose. If I don't have purpose, everything else is off. For some people, it might be, personal health. If I don't have my health, that is my leading indicator. That's my number one. For some of you, it might be people. I could do anything. Purpose, I'm flexible, but if I'm not around the right people, that's my leading indicator. So go ahead and rank them. Everyone's going to have a different order on the leading indicator, and that's just a personal preference. Okay. So give yourself a score here out of 50 points. Where are you right now? If you have 20 points or fewer, there's a lot of things that are not going well right now that are really affecting you. But this exercise helps us to pinpoint which one is really the lowest, and is there anything that I can do about this one area right now that is going to help me improve it? Is it a conversation? Do I need to just talk to a friend? Is there some action that I need to take? So that's the conversation that I want you to have in your group here, is look at, discuss with your team. I chose number 1 and number 2. Share why you rated your peace index the way you did on your worksheet, and what is your action plan to improve your peace index. You don't have to fix all 5 areas. If you can move one of them from a 5 to a 6, that's improvement. If you can move from a 3 to a 4 or 5, that's improvement. Let's focus on one thing. What could we do with one thing? So I'm going to put you back in your rooms. I'm just going to give you not as much time so we can have a little bit of time to debrief, but any questions on the peace index before we go to the rooms? Hope that gives you enough information to have a good conversation. All right, I'm going to send you into the breakout rooms. Have a great chat, and I'll see you back here in about 6 minutes. Everyone. All right, great to see you. All right, let's hear some about your conversations. Who can share?
I think we all agreed that our people score, which was ranked pretty high for us, has just been an issue in COVID, and that we all feel more disconnected, and it's hard to make those connections. And Laura, she's in my department. She knows I've been department chair only during COVID, and it's so frustrating to not have been able to make those connections with faculty the way I'd always thought I would. So yeah, we have to end COVID. That's our action plan.
I love your action plan. Very good. I can't underscore that enough. This is what people are feeling, and it makes everything else feel bad, right? It really plummets that peace index score. But it's good to also reflect and say, okay, this is not where I want it to be, but it doesn't mean that my place is bad. It doesn't mean that my purpose and what I'm doing and for my career is bad. But it can certainly feel that way, but it gives us a little bit of perspective about where we are and what we can do. How about one more person? Heather, did you want to share? Okay, let's see. Anyone else?
We're all just in agreement that ending COVID is the best plan. But but Kate Levitt was going to say something.
I was just going to say, in agreement in our group, it was kind of overwhelmingly our relationships with people that aren't here in Albuquerque, that we're really struggling to stay connected with family and friends that are further away, and the COVID situation is making it so much worse, and it just has this sort of a dark cloud on all these other good things. So COVID needs to go.
Needs to go. Oh, I agree. So many heads nodding. I think everyone is feeling the stress of that. That means you just need to be a liberator to yourself. You need to bring more support to yourself, because in times of stress, when you cannot do anything about the circumstances, you don't have control or power over it, then taking care of yourself becomes really important. It's not self-indulgent. It's not selfish. It's really you taking care so you can show up for the people around you, recharge, and taking time to get your batteries filled up again. It's not a suggestion. It's not I recommend it if you have time. It's an absolute necessity. We need it in order to show up healthy in the rest of those areas with the people around us. So I hope that today has been what Julie and I wanted it to be, which was a time for you to just focus on yourself, take a little bit of breath, be refreshed, get poured into, and walk away feeling like, okay, I've got a few more tools in my tool belt to deal with some things. I recommend that you put in your calendar in 3 months' time, do the peace index again. Where are you right now? How are you feeling? And it's just a little pulse check on how am I doing? And it's a quick response, because if I ask you, how are you doing, Nancy? Nancy goes, oh, I'm doing fine. Nancy, where's your peace index? Oh, that's a different conversation, right? It's really getting to know, where am I really? Because we're used to saying, I'm doing fine. No, we're not doing fine. Sometimes we need a safe place to have that conversation. And it's not with everyone, but it could be a family member, a close friend, a coworker, just to check in to see. That's usually where I check in with my clients when I do one-on-one coaching. I said, tell me where your peace index is. And then that gives me an idea where we need to talk about, where we need to work on. So it's an important, simple tool, but it can really help us unpack what's going on with us. So we are going to wrap up today. It has been a pleasure to be with you today, and I hope you really enjoyed the conversations in your teams. I think that's very helpful when we are able to verbally process what's going on in our minds and share with other people. Julia, any final thoughts before we break up today? I think we've got our the rest of our workshops scheduled, if you want to remind us of those dates.
Oh, sure. Like I have my calendar pulled up. Actually, yes, we do have the rest of them scheduled. And the next one is October 28th, which is also a Thursday. And then just to keep you on your toes, the third one is December 1st, which is a Wednesday. And we will be sending out bunches of reminders. And after we've fixed a few glitches I have caused in the recording, then I will be sharing the recording with you. And there's a person or two who couldn't come so that they can catch up. I do want to say one of the things I have benefited the most from is learning how my voice responds to stress and how to think about it. And that has been one of the most eye-opening things for me. And you know, I'm saying this, and Maria's going to jot it down so that we remember to make sure and cover it in one of the next workshops. But those are, if you're just going to watch a couple of the videos about your voice combination, those are some good ones to do right now, because most of us are struggling a bit with just sort of how we're doing. And that will give you some different ways to think about it that have really made a bit of a difference for me.
Excellent.
So
I will make note of that. And then we will also go over the fourth one that we included, the expectation scale, because I think that's an important tool. And we'll just continue to do this. We'll give you a tool, give you time to unpack and apply it, and we will continue to build on what we are learning here. Thank you so much, Health Science, for joining us. And it's so nice to meet you all. And we will see you again in October.
thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Here.
Bye.